Greetings all, welcome to another episode of Badass Unscripted. Did you ever see a fish or some kind of creature that will grow to meet the size of its container? Anytime you see something like that, you kind of go, oh man, that's so sad. Because if they have a small container, they'll only grow so big, but if only they had a bigger container, they could grow bigger. Well, people are like that. The size of your container, and by this I don't mean your house, your surroundings, or whatever. I mean your mental containers, which is your friends, your family, your education, your upbringing, your beliefs. That's the most important part. Your beliefs about where you belong, how big your vision can be, how big your goals can be. All of those things are your fishbowl. Worse still, none of those creatures can exceed their container. I know all of you have an Amazon delivery box somewhere in your house. You've ordered something and you've got the box still sitting around someplace, right? Take a look at that box and imagine that you're this big and you're inside that box. All you see is what surrounds you, your container. The moment you're able to peek over the edges, you see an entire world that you didn't know existed, right? You see the rooms, the wallpaper, the flooring, the furniture, the knickknacks, all the gadgets. You get to look out a window and you can see the trees. All of a sudden, the rest of the world opens itself up to you, but you can't see it unless you peek over that edge. My backyard's like that. In the summer, my backyard is covered in beautiful green foliage, these giant maple trees and all kinds of plants and vegetation. I can't see a neighbor. It's really hard to see a modern structure, much less the streets on the other side. I can't see the park. In the winter, I can see all of it. So when I'm in the backyard, I can actually separate myself from reality. I can be removed from all traces of neighbors, of civilization if I want to. But imagine if my entire life was like that. If I was never able to see over the fence and peer into the rest of the world. How would that limit what I'm capable of? Think of it. And then recognize that most people you meet are limited that way. You want to be bigger? You want to do more? You want to achieve things? You look at wealthy people and wonder, how did they get that? You look at successful people and wonder, how did they get that? You look at inspirational, influential people with reach, with following, and you ask, how did they get that? The answer is simple. It begins with being able to see beyond. How does this affect your practice? If you go into a bank every day and you follow traditional banky rules with a whole bunch of other traditional banky people, your agility will be greatly constrained. You're going to be fishbowled. So people over here say, no, every Monday morning at 7 a.m. we have a 3-hour dashboard meeting. Well, if that's your belief and you accept it, that's all you're going to see. And everything that you try to do with agility is going to be constrained by the fact that that dashboard meeting is reality. It's the 4 sides, the bottom and the top of your Amazon box. It's the 4 walls of your backyard. And everything that you do is going to support and move towards more of the same, more of what you already know, more of what you already see. So now you have to spend a day in your sprint preparing for that dashboard meeting. Why? Because the dashboard meeting is a fact of life. That's all there is. But what if you could see beyond? What if you could ask the question, why do we have that meeting? What benefit does it provide? And more importantly, what's a better way to get that outcome that doesn't require we spend 3 hours on a Monday morning before we start our regular week of work, burning people out, chasing metrics that we all know probably aren't meaningful, just because that's the way we've always done things? The way we have always done things are your box. That's your fishbowl. I want you to learn this so that you can teach it to others. I want you to own this so that you can give it as a gift to your teammates and the people around you. If we surround ourselves with those kinds of constraints and refuse to see over, we can never grow. We can never be bigger than our box. The 4-minute mile is a perfect example of this. Everyone said 4-minute mile, not possible. Well, let's try it. Not possible. Yeah, we tried it and we failed. I guess there's just a limitation on how fast the human body can go. And nobody could do it. So notice how the evidence supports the conclusion, and the conclusion aligns with the evidence. Until one day, Roger Bannister breaks the rule, breaks the mold, breaks the box, knocks down one of the edges, cracks a corner. And all of a sudden, people around the world start doing it. Now it's not even a question, is it possible? Is it a limitation? Not really. So what does that teach us? That we must continue to insist on seeing bigger. Otherwise, the constraints of our beliefs will limit what we're capable of. It will limit how far we can see. It will limit what we believe to be true, and therefore influences our everyday actions. That keeps us small. That keeps us constrained to our fishbowl. Now, here's an interesting thing. If you try to exceed your environment, if you try to jump over that fence, you're going to feel the tug of family and friends and authorities trying to say, where do you think you're going? You're staying here with us. It's safe here. It's comfortable here. Don't go over there. It's crazy people over there. You wish you hadn't jumped. You'll be back. Now, that's the voice of people who refuse to peer over the fence because they're afraid of what they'll see. They're either afraid of what they'll see, or more commonly, they are afraid about what they're going to learn about their choices, their limitations, their worldview. It is comfortable to stay in the box, because in the box, all you have to do is learn the rules, repeat the steps. Does this sound familiar, my Scrum friends? Learn the rules, repeat the steps. Ask the authorities what a good product owner is, what a good Scrum Master is, what a great stand-up looks like. Follow those rules, and you will be successful. Depends on what your definition of success is, though, doesn't it? What's your measure of done? Maybe you change the world, have great impact, create real customer value, excite teams, make a better working environment for the people around you. Those are big goals, but they all require one thing: seeing outside the box. And it takes courage, it takes vision, it takes determination to learn the skill of seeing beyond, seeing things that you've never seen before, the 4-minute mile, things that previously had been unachievable. In the Forge, we call that vision and intention. And it is the skill, the harnessed, the honed, the purposeful skill of looking outside and seeing things that were unseeable yesterday. That's why it's so important. You don't have to consider yourself a visionary person, but you do want to learn how to look outside the limits of your bowl, the limits of that box, the limits of your backyard. I hope this one inspired you and helped you, my friends. As always, you can reach out at badassagile.com. You can find me on Twitter at badass_agile, on Instagram at badassagile, and don't forget to check us out on YouTube. Links are in the show notes below. I look forward to your feedback and your commentary as always. Until next time, stay badass.